Hey there, folks! How is it going?
Hey everybody!
It's Amiibo Jason here.
And Hero TJ.
TJ, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be back,
for
brother.
Another episode of Smash Switch Speculation. It's very, very nice having you so close to me.
I know, I love this. This used to be like a 2,000 mile away Skype conversation, but to be close enough to put our arms around each other, that's true Nintendo camaraderie. And you know there's nothing else I like chatting more about than Smash Brothers.
So if you don't know this, TJ used to live in California.
True.
I live in Wisconsin. He's now in Chicago area, right?
Yep.
Illinois.
So we're about an hour and 15 minutes apart instead of 37 hours apart.
So nowhere near as bad as what it used to be. I used to get to see this guy once, maybe twice a year, tops.
Yeah.
So it's definitely nice having you on full time.
It's good to be here.
So, what do we have going on tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow, first thing in the morning, we're going to have a Smash Brothers Direct. And this one came kind of out of nowhere. It's giving me the same kind of excitement and feelings that I had when they did the 50 fun facts back for the Wii U.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure this is going to be quite that expansive or quite that large because we know more than we knew about that game now, about Ultimate. But still, I've got an excited feeling in my chest that has not gone away since Jason called me. He's like, hey, you want to come on by on Tuesday and do a... That's my Amiibo, Jason.
That's me?
You want to come on Tuesday and do a Smash Switch speculation? I'm like, I can, but what do you want to talk about? Well, you know the Direct. What? What do you mean the Direct? So that was my first hearing of it, and I was super, super pumped. So this is super, super pumped TJ. Excited to be here talking with you guys about this Direct.
So we're essentially going to do the best job that we can to speculate on what we might see during tomorrow's Direct without going too crazy. Because we have, 3 months?
Yeah, still 3 months. Over 100 days.
In what? E3 was, about a month and a half away?
Ago?
Ago.
Back June 13th-ish.
So it kind of blows my mind that we are at this point already where we're getting a full Direct for Smash. And I know back in the day we had several Directs for Smash, so it's not like absolutely nuts that we're getting this. But the fact that E3 just happened, we have 3 months until the launch of the game. What are they going to talk? What do you think they're going to talk about first?
The first thing I noticed when the Direct was, as soon as you told me, I of course went to social media to see what the general pulse is, and I was really surprised at how many people had the sentiment of, like, what are they going to show us? We already know everything about the game, and I'm coming at from the opposite angle where I'm like, I don't feel like we know anything about the game.
We know the fighters.
We know that all the fighters are there, and we know what Smash Mode is like. We can surmise a number of the stages. A number of the stages have been clearly announced. Some others have been suggested at. We know some of the music. We know some of the items and the trophies and new Pokemon. But we don't know anything about game modes. Smash Mode is there. That's all we know. We don't know anything about any of that other stuff. And we kind of got the cart before the horse this time, where usually closer to release, you start getting the nuanced types of reports, like how characters are balanced, how they play, how the physics work in the game. But that was what they led off with this time. They're like, here's what distinguishes how Smash Ultimate plays from what you're familiar with from the past games. And because Smash Now, and maybe this is for the first time, has been out for long enough where enough players have played it, where everyone has an expectation of what Smash should feel like. So they can actually lead with a Direct that talks about something as nuanced as the minutia of what it feels like. So all we really know about is the physics and some of the altered balancing, and that the characters are back. So I really think it's going to be more like, how do we get to now experience all of these things? How are they going to package this? I think we're going to see a menu. I think we're going to see some modes. We're certainly going to have at least one new character.
I'm thinking one new fighter. It's going to be at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe one Echo fighter. There's a few that we could talk about later tonight, too, the Echo fighters. But I think you're right. I think it's going to be a lot of the mechanics of what to expect from the game itself. A single-player mode, I think, is the big thing people are wondering about. Subspace Emissary or something.
Yeah, we're going to have a single-player campaign. What would that look like? What returning modes are we going to see? I would be surprised if there wasn't... maybe not a new mode, but a new take on a previous mode. There's going to have to be some different way to experience this game than what we've seen before. It might be Smash Tour 2. That wouldn't be my first pick.
Yeah, that's going to suck.
But to iterate on something that's already come, maybe like a combination of Smash Run with a single player campaign. So you have some kind of side-scrolling adventure light where you get to progress through the screen to get from one side to the next, or to find from one door to another door. But it lets you at least play with these characters that's satisfying in a single player mode. And then also, well, speaking of that, I'm jumping topics a little bit. This is the main thing with the Switch that people have been pushing, is how you can like snap off a controller and pass it to your buddy and play. So what modes are going to be most accommodating to that on a small screen?
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know what they're going to allow you to do there. Is it going to be like a tag team mode? Tag team would be sweet. That's something that we've seen before in other fighting games that Smash Brothers hasn't really gotten into. I remember I did that a lot with Marvel vs. Capcom, where you could pick your favorite X-Man, pick your favorite Street Fighter character, and have them swap during the battle. I love doing that. And Ryu was actually one of my characters in that team. I could do that again if Smash lets you do it.
That'd be interesting. I think that's a pretty big deviation from what Smash is, but you never know.
Do you really? Because
I think it would be really interesting if they went that route.
To let you kind of tag guys out and have them come back in?
I love the idea. I love the idea. I think it would open up a whole new world for esports. For
Definitely. Which is where they're putting a lot of their attention to what I think works for esports and what's going to energize esports. If they could have tag team matchups and they could somehow convince the professional community to respond to this, seeing your favorite professional gaming personalities team up. Like, who would want to see a Zero Nairo team up to take out the competition? If it's the kind of thing that you like and you follow things like Evo and other big tournaments, then I could see that being an exciting thing. People like to watch tag team wrestling for entertainment value, and Smash Brothers is already, at its core, it's sumo wrestling. You're trying to push the other character out of the ring. Now, what if it was tag team sumo wrestling? I think that might be fun. And with I heard somebody else say this. I think it might have been the Game Explained guys, where they were saying it's the whole idea of the Switch is switching. And so if they somehow took that Switch mechanic and applied it to Smash, it seems like it's a good way to marry it to this console and make it this console specific and make it stand out from some of the past iterations of the game.
Yeah. Let's get organized here, because we are going all over the rails.
I know. I'm almost too excited. If you see Jason just like reach over and kind of zip my lips,
you're gonna see me just like totally drift off screen.
I'm a mile a minute on this, guys. I'm sorry. Keep me on track.
Let's go through a couple topics. I think the first one we want to talk about is what single player mode we might see and what that might look like. Next up after that, let's talk about anything additional, possibly Amiibo.
Yeah.
Because Amiibo are something we have to talk about at some point tonight.
I've got a lot of Amiibo stuff. Some good suggestions.
I have some theories on Amiibo too. I don't think we're even close to being done with what Amiibo could be in this game.
Yeah.
We mentioned cards at one point. I still think it's a possibility.
Maybe.
I don't think it's completely thrown out the window at this point. So we're going to talk about Amiibo. We're going to talk about characters. And then at the end, we're going to answer some of your questions. We had some questions on Twitter as well. So we're going to see if we can do the best to do all of that in about an hour to an hour and a half. We'll see what happens.
I love it. All right, so starting with single player.
Single player.
One of the things about the past iteration of Smash, and now it's different whether you're talking about the Wii U version or the 3DS version, because I feel like the 3DS version actually got the better single player mode where you got to do the Smash Run. Smash Run is fun, but I also found it a little bit difficult to play. I wanted to be able to play Smash Run on the Wii U, and I never wanted to play Smash Tour at all. That's not a single player mode, but I feel like that's what they got instead of Smash Run.
Yeah.
And then with their main single player modes, they had Classic, and they had
like the classic N64, make it through the gauntlet.
Right, but it was like they set you on this random chessboard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really quite like the classic mode from the previous ones. You'd have random collections of fighters scattered on this little board, and then you'd move your game piece over there, almost like an unorganized game of chess. Like people who don't know how to play chess throw all their pieces on there, and you have to go move them around. And then you have All-Star mode, which is kind of more like a classic arcade tree, where you have to fight each fighter. The game gets harder as the game grows, and you start adding more DLC fighters, because at first you have to fight through 50 fighters, and then by the end of it, or even less, and then by the end of it, you have to fight through 56 fighters. But I found that mode to be the most traditional representation of a single-player fighting game campaign.
It didn't hold my attention.
It didn't hold my attention. I found it was a little bit too long. It took me too long to get through it, and it was difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas the classic mode, you could get through it in 10 or 15 minutes, and I played it a lot.
Yeah.
Because in Smash Supremacy,
you have no choice.
I needed to have trophies of certain characters dropping, so I would actually play the classic mode in 2-player.
Yeah.
But I would play it single player still and just let the other character die, so that at the end of it I have the fireworks display with both of the characters that I wanted for the in-game graphic of Smash Supremacy. So I spent a lot of time doing that mode, and I would say it was fun, but it still felt very disorganized. And I kind of think disorganized is the best word to describe the past Smash Brothers game. When you first look at that menu, it looks like art direction just kind of fell out of the bag and like randomly landed on the screen. And I'm a huge Smash fan. I downloaded this thing the night of. I was in California, so it was at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So we got it a little bit earlier. I played it all through the night, and I spent the first 20 minutes like slack-jawed, squint-eyed, looking at the screen, trying to understand the sense of the organization. You go into Games and More to access single player.
Yeah, that's it. That was way too confusing. I completely agree. Even if I pick it up now, you have no excuse to not have those menus.
I know they are, but I shouldn't have had to work so hard.
But for me, I could pick up the game right now and I'd still get lost. Like, where is this thing?
Yeah.
But I agree that the Wii U version of Smash was missing a lot on the single player front.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be what we're going to expect to see in Ultimate 2, as much as I hate to say it. I am the kind of guy, I'm the kind of gamer that picks up I used to pick up Call of Duty games. I never played them online. I played the single player mode, and that's it. I like a good single player story.
Me too.
Something that has like substance.
At all.
Yeah. I mean, and I with Smash it's a little bit different. I do like playing online. I suck.
Not
compared
me.
to most people. You don't suck. I suck compared to most people.
I'm bad at it.
But I like to be able to like go through a main storyline of a game and feel just like the happiness of going through and beating it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Nintendo does something with Ultimate very similar to Subspace Emissary. I want to see the cutscenes. I want to see like characters that you wouldn't imagine like having conversations in like a cutscene. That's the kind of thing that I really, really like to see. I think it's a huge long shot.
Yeah.
I think the development cycle for this game was way too small. And I think the amount of characters and the amount of work that Sakurai has on his plate is going to have to cut corners somewhere. And I think that's where it's going to happen. But it might happen. I think we are going to get some interesting single-player modes, though. I don't know what they're going to be. I think a lot of people share the kind of feeling we have about the Wii U version of the game, where it's lackluster, to say the best.
I think it's the best version.
Really?
I love the Wii U version of the game.
I meant the single player, not the game itself.
The single player is lackluster. I'm completely.
So let me clarify that. I don't think the Wii U version is bad in any way, except for the single player, which is it doesn't really warrant me picking it up.
Right.
So that being said, something needs to change, and I'm really curious if there's any minor changes you would like to see, any major changes you'd like to see, and what you think we might see going forward. The same thing with chat. I'm really curious if anybody out there has any recommendations or thoughts on what we might see for single player as well. We'll have our mods. We have Jackson and George in the chat right now. They're going to give us some of the best ones, and we'll make sure we comment on those too.
Well, going back to what you said about having to cut corners, I think we already know what the biggest corner that was cut was. Sakurai said in a Famitsu interview that he was faced with two options, one of them being building this game brand new or using the Wii U engine that was perfectly functional and very good and tweaking and rebalancing.
Yeah.
And that's an enormous time changer. We also found out that the development cycle for this game is a lot longer than we thought. They started it almost immediately after the past game released. So we might have felt like it was only in development for a couple years, but that's already like a typical development cycle for a game. And they have less work to do from building it because they already have all of the building blocks in place. So it's much easier to tweak your structure than to have to start building a structure completely from scratch. So they can put more focus into developing other ways to play. That said, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything with cutscenes like we had in Subspace Emissary.
I want to see it though so bad, especially with the cast of characters in this one. Okay, I'm going to point this one out. The little intro video of them finding Ridley was amazing. Yeah. Mario got speared through the chest with a spike in like this alien-looking like sci-fi video that just blew my mind.
Yeah,
like I loved every second of that video.
Me too.
I want an entire hour and a half worth of like little clips like that for every single character in this game. And I know it's a lot to ask. I completely understand that.
Well, that video trailer to me was extremely reminiscent of all of the character announcement videos that we got for the Wii U
totally is. You're
launch
right.
cycle. So they have these movies that they make to promote the characters and to do announcements, but not every character has one. Yeah. All the new characters have one. Mostly. Some of them...
Daisy kind of was phoned in a little bit, so...
well, I mean for the Wii U. Like
some of them
got piggybacked in on other ones, like Dark Pit came in at the very tail end of Palutena's announcement.
Yeah.
And other characters were announced at the same time as, like in Lucina's, that was when we first got confirmation that Captain Falcon was there, and it was also our first time seeing Robin. So it was kind of Lucina's trailer and Robin's trailer at the same time. But Ridley's reveal trailer was exactly like that, where you have a little bit of a cinematic exchange. You have some characters from different franchises playing together. Do I think that it plays a larger role in the grand scheme of the game? Personally, I don't think so. I think its purpose is hype. I think its purpose is promotion. Sakurai did say that the videos for Wii U got leaked early, so instead of using them in the game as rewards as you unlock certain characters, they were used for the campaign to launch the game because he didn't want it to be disappointing to people when they got it and it all of a sudden wasn't a surprise anymore. So that was a little bit of an about face. They changed course on that. Can they go back to what they were originally wanting to do? Maybe, but the reason I would tend to think not is because the last game announced a lot of new characters. This game is not going to be announcing a lot of new characters.
That we know of.
There's going to be some, but nowhere near to what the Wii U did.
There's 100% going to be a season pass for this game.
Yeah,
Nintendo is under new ownership at this point. It's under, not ownership, but you know what I mean, new management. It's not in the phase it was before where it's not going to like send out DLC for things. Smash is going to get a crap ton of DLC, and I have no idea what that's going to look like, but I think over the next 2 years, they're going to see, like, steady, gradual, like, DLC drops for this game.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see, like, 5 to 10 new characters.
I'm with you on that. I think it will fall between 5 and 10. 10 seems like a lot to me, but we're talking, like, life cycle. If the Switch... Nintendo... said that they imagine the Switch is going to be their system for the next 10 years. That's not really that surprising. It's a bold statement when you think console, but when you think handheld, Nintendo's been doing that with handhelds forever. The Game Boy was out for 10 years.
3DS is, what, 8 years right now?
Yeah, so the way that Nintendo thinks of it, they're still in the 3DS family of systems, so even though it's been iterated on many times, it's still the 3DS family of systems, so that still counts. Same thing with the Game Boy. So in that 10 years, are we going to see different versions of the Switch, updated, upgrades?
Like the new Switch XL?
New Switch,
the new
Nintendo Switch XL SD plus LL. Something like
Knuckles.
That. And Knuckles. I hope their naming conventions stay the way that they've done. What Switch has done for me that I think is kind of successful, and I think this will also speak to their approach with Smash, is that it streamlines a little bit. What Wii U did was largely taking everything that we loved about the Wii and tried to just make it more, bigger, better.
Yeah.
And in some cases, I think it really worked. I do think that Smash Brothers was more, bigger, better. I think that it was a dramatic improvement over Brawl, even though Brawl had features that I would have liked to have seen make a return in the Wii U version. And the Wii U game has features that I hope to have back in the Switch one. But there's really no... This goes back to the things that we're curious about. So for all my friends out there who are like, what are they possibly going to talk about? We already know everything. Well, we don't know about custom moves. Custom moves are one of the things that I had the most fun with in Smash for Wii U.
I mean, you had a whole show based on custom moves.
All my shows are based on, well, except for Smash Supremacy, on customizing figures. Whether it's actually customizing the character in-game or customizing the literal figure. And so that's a big part of how I enjoy Smash, experiencing the ways that I can alter the gameplay.
Yeah.
And by removing custom moves, it is going to take away one of the things that I have enjoyed most about it. Are they going to fill it with another thing? Maybe. But this goes back to another feature that has been confirmed, which is Amiibo. We know Amiibo are compatible.
Yes, we do.
To what extent, we don't know.
I think that's a whole nother cat. We have to have an entire segment dedicated to Amiibo tonight, because I think we both have some thoughts.
Okay, then I'll just say this where Amiibo are concerned. When I first heard them announced, I was thinking to myself, I can't wait to play co-op with my Amiibo. I guess that's technically a single player mode, where I would bring my Amiibo in as my buddy. I train them to play how I want. I make the perfect partner, and then come to find they can't be used in any of those modes
or online, which is
online. So I found that to be hugely disappointing that the Amiibo had. While the integration in Smash was amazing, and the things that you could do and the fighting algorithms, I feel like were super refined. They cannot be used in all of the capacities that, as a player, I would have liked to use that.
Yeah.
I want to bring them into my single-player mode. I want to play player 1, and I want to make my Amiibo be player 2.
I think Amiibo were a huge
no
afterthought. What? I think Amiibo were a huge afterthought on the Wii U. I think they're like, we need to get these Toys to Life figures out as quickly as possible. Let's integrate them into Smash. I bet Smash was done being developed by the time they announced Amiibo for it.
I don't feel like
That's
that.
my thought.
You might be right, but I actually feel like they said, we want to sell a physical product along with this game. Find some way to make these figures meaningful.
I still think it's an afterthought, but I could be completely wrong. But we're going to have an entire section on Amiibo, I think, a little bit later into this mode and into this presentation tonight. But before we talk about like any new modes, I think let's talk about Echo Fighters.
Yeah, okay.
So I think Echo Fighters are something that people are really, really curious about, because it really opens the door to obviously a huge amount of brand new characters. And I don't think we've even scratched the surface on Echo Fighters yet. I think we're going to see a huge, huge selection of Echo Fighters.
I don't think we're going to see a huge. I think maybe
I can think of 3 off the top of my head right now that are pretty much guaranteed.
But the other thing is, Nintendo is distinguishing between Echo Fighters and clones. So an Echo Fighter is a lot less work than a clone.
That's what I mean.
Like Dr. Mario, he looks like an Echo Fighter. He plays like he might be an Echo Fighter, but he's not. He's a clone character because his moves are different enough where he has distinguished himself as a completely separate fighter. All 3 Links play similar, but none of them are Echo Fighters of each other. So really the only 3 characters in the game that are similar enough to the base figure where they attain the nomenclature Echo Fighter, to use Ben Frazzetti's description, it's Daisy, Lucina, and Dark Pit, who are remarkably similar to their original character. Almost so similar that on tier lists, they're the exact same.
And that's why I think we're going to see a lot more, because, again, it's a lot less work. And I think if you look at, like, I'm looking at my Amiibo up here, because I always end up doing that. We could have Supersonic. We could have Proto Man. We could have Ken from Street Fighter. There's so many.
Every example that you said, those are third party, or at least right there.
And I agree. Those are definitely third parties. But I think it's totally doable.
It's absolutely doable, but I would tend to think less likely then, because I think Nintendo still wants to heavily dominate the roster with Nintendo characters, and you don't want to pad the roster with special guest characters.
I don't even know about that, though. I mean, do we even know, do the Echo Fighters get like an individual slot on the roster? Do we know that yet?
Yeah, Echo Fighters do have a...
Okay.
Well...
I can't remember.
The reason why I'm saying yes, we do know this, is because historically they do. Pit and Lucina have a separate slot on the Wii U.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that they're not going to change that from the previous game to this one, where all of a sudden now you'd have to pick Marth if you wanted to play as Lucina.
It depends on how many characters there's going to be. So if there's a crap ton of Echo Fighters, I can imagine, just for the sake of keeping space on the screen. Because right now, I mean, the screen's going to be insanely,
I absolutely don't think
packed.
so. Those Echo Fighters are all going to have a unique space. I'm totally convinced of that.
Yep, let me go ahead and restart the video. There it goes. There it goes.
So, as far as ones that seem like they would be super easy to do, like Ken and Ryu, they're already Echo Fighters. They're already palette swaps of each other. They were designed to be that originally in Street Fighter. So could you make a Ken? No problem. Could you make Akuma or some of the other characters that are built off that same base as Ryu? Of course. But I would tend to doubt that they're going to go that route. Could you make a Shadow out of Sonic? Absolutely.
You can do Shadow. You can do Super. Well, Supersonic is a what is it called? Final Smash.
Yeah, he's like a power-up. It's
Yeah.
like a Super Saiyan version of Sonic. So I wouldn't say, no, they're not going to do it. But I would tend to think Nintendo's going to avoid that because Sonic is a big deal. Sonic is a superstar. He was Mario's greatest rival throughout all the 90s. He's the character that I would personally say is most closely associated with the Sega brand.
Yeah.
Whereas Shadow, Tails, Knuckles, they're important characters to the Sonic franchise. They're not important characters to the world of gaming. They're
Dark
kind of
Pit,
under.
though, let's be honest.
He's a Nintendo character.
So what? So
That's why. That's exactly the
Dark
point.
Pit is barely in Nintendo's history.
No way. He totally is a big deal. He has a main.
Is he really a big deal? Dark Pit?
He has a starring role in Kid Icarus Uprising.
Starring?
Yeah, totally.
Would you call that starring?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
He could get an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
I would say if you compare Dark Pit to Knuckles, it's no question.
I would say Knuckles is bigger than Dark Pit.
Absolutely.
But Knuckles is not a Nintendo character.
That's true.
So that
more or less now. I mean, more or less.
He's more of a Nintendo character
than anything
else. And I would like Knuckles, but I really kind of think that the best you could do for a character like Knuckles and Tails, is to honor them with assist trophy status and costumes. Knuckles,
like Waluigi?
Waluigi, now this is just my personal thoughts. I did not expect, as you guys know from the previous Smash Switch speculation episode, that Waluigi would be part of the launch lineup. But I do think before this game ends, before this game's cycle is over, Waluigi's in. He's
Hopefully.
like one of the last greats. He's one of the last huge holdouts. And what he has going for him is he's unlike any other character. So you look at some other, like Daisy.
Daisy fits with... We discussed this.
Yeah, we discussed it.
We kind of predicted Echo Fighters before Echo Fighters were even announced.
We totally
We're not going to toot our own horns here, but we sort of did. There you go. That's nice. So, I mean, we pretty much predicted that because Daisy would be easy to do.
Yeah.
I know that we even had the discussion at the end of that episode saying if they just wanted to clone her, that'd be fine with us, and that's pretty much what they did.
Yeah,
but I agree, you can't clone Waluigi onto anybody else. He's lanky. He's kind of like the Dalam in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. You'd have to make him a new fighter.
Yeah. I think so, too. And also one that would get a lot of attention. So I think it's one that would be great for Nintendo to save.
Yeah.
Save him and get all of this Smash excitement post-release. I actually really think they might release Waluigi tomorrow. It would be a big surprise. I don't see it happening. Personally, I think I would say the chances are 0.
They're gonna hold off on that one until the last possible second,
which I would say a year after release.
Yeah,
he'll come out after post game release.
I want him to be like $50 DLC.
I would buy it. I would.
So would I, but I think that would just be there's way too many campaigns of people that are like diehard Waluigi fans that are getting a bit out of hand.
Yeah,
it's a little crazy for me at this point seeing like death threats to game developers. If any of you are like in chat right now and you are one of those people, rethink your priorities, man. It's a video game character.
Seriously.
But maybe.
Now, an Echo Fighter that I think might have an outside shot is Funky Kong. I think we might see a Funky off of Donkey. I don't think that Funky Kong
needs
is a meaningful addition. He doesn't necessarily need a surfboard. He had one in Tropical Freeze, but he didn't have one in the Mario Kart game that he was in. Was it the Wii version? Yeah, he was in Mario Kart Wii. I'm not crazy about Funky, but because he's the same size, same shape, and moves the same way, very deliberately by design as Donkey Kong, he's interchangeable with Donkey Kong in Tropical Freeze, even though he has other movesets and other props.
He's like easy mode.
Yeah, he doesn't need those movesets or props.
No.
You can rebalance Donkey Kong slightly and give him all Funky's same moves, and then you just have another character slot. I wouldn't go crazy for it. It wouldn't make me that excited, but I think that it's a possibility.
And we discussed, one of our writers, Ricky, I'm not sure if he's in chat right now or not, he was bringing up the topic of possibly having Dixie Kong in replacement of Diddy Kong as an Echo Fighter as well.
I don't see that. I think Dixie would need to be a clone.
I think he fits she obviously fits the character pretty well, but I mean, she spins on her hair. I mean, and she doesn't have a jetpack. She doesn't have the peanut pop guns. So many things that would be difficult for that character.
Ricky had some good ideas, like replace his peanuts with gumballs and some other things, but because she does not move like Diddy at all, she fits his physical profile, but she would have to have completely unique animations. Now, if you have to completely animate a character differently, but more or less the balancing is the same, could that be an Echo Fighter? We haven't seen an example of that yet, so I think we have to assume at this point, no.
Yeah.
I think that would make her a clone character, kind of more similar to how Ganondorf and Captain Falcon are, where they were built off the same model. There's still a lot of Captain Falcon residue on Ganondorf, but as the games go on, he gets a little bit more distance from his original clone status. Daisy would be something more like that, where she could certainly be built off Diddy, but you're going to have to give her helicopter flight animation.
Yeah.
You can't just rip Diddy and exchange his model with Dixie like you can with Funky and Donkey Kong.
I agree that has to be a little bit more complicated. What about Mr. L for Luigi?
I would like to see Mr. L as a costume.
But...
Yeah, I would. It's a crime not to have Mr. L in this game, but it should be a skin. He should be exactly balanced the same as Luigi, in my opinion. Ricky brought up another one, which I know a lot of people out there have been just clamoring for, and that's Bandana Waddle Dee.
Well, could that be a...
I think he could be an echo of Meta Knight.
Oh, I could see that.
He's got the spear, and...
I think like more Galactic Knight instead of like as an Echo Fighter, but I could totally see that too.
Yeah, Galactic Knight, I just don't think is enough of a... And now, I'm a very casual Kirby player. Yeah. I play every Kirby game, but I play through them from beginning to end pretty linear. I'm not a completionist. I know most of the characters, but by and large, in the Kirby games, all of them play pretty similar. And they need to play pretty similar because in co-op mode, they need to have some kind of like suck-in function. They need to have some kind of spit-out function. They need to have some kind of swinging, stabbing function. Meta Knight and a Goomba with a spear... are pretty similar.
You got to be careful with what you're saying there, man.
I know. So I don't know. I don't imagine that we're going to see a Waddle Dee, although he does have a couple things going for him, and that is that he's probably pretty special to Sakurai, given that Sakurai is the father of the Kirby series. Yeah. Although, even though he's been accused of it many times, I don't believe he shows any preferential treatment to the Kirby series. I think he's very fair in the way that he represents different franchises.
He has three representations for Kirby, which is a huge Nintendo franchise.
And they're all really big deal characters. Yeah. So getting Bandana Waddle Dee in there, I don't think is a crime against Smash, but leaving him out, I don't know. I guess I'm probably upsetting the Kirby faithful. I could see him being a Meta Knight Echo Fighter, and that's probably the highest compliment I could pay him as a character.
All right, I have one more Echo Fighter possibility. One that would make the most sense, and it would need the least amount of work, and that would be Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2.
I've never even heard of that character before.
Have you never played Metal Gear 2?
I have not played any Metal Gear Solid.
If you're not familiar with Metal Gear 2, people were very, very upset because you only play as Solid Snake for like the first chapter of the game, and after that you play as a character named Raiden. Raiden is very much like Solid Snake, except he is not as gritty. He's got like this bleach blonde hair. He gets really cool in Metal Gear 4. He becomes like half cyborg, but he's essentially Solid Snake. So if you're going to do an Echo Fighter, I mean, he pretty much was an Echo Fighter in Metal Gear 2. So I could totally imagine that being an amazing like addition, like as an Echo Fighter, something that would be simple, a quick reskin, and it would look absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping we see something like that one too. But again, everything that I'm picking is third party.
Yeah, which I think is less likely. If we see any third party Echo Fighters, that would surprise me. I think Nintendo is deliberately trying to be extremely selective about their third-party selections, and I kind of feel like you need to hold your third parties to a much stricter standard than you do your Nintendo games. You can put the Duck Hunt dog in Smash Brothers. You can put Rob in Smash Brothers. They're the Nintendo obscure, Mr. Game & Watch, and the Nintendo obscure. Most people now, they don't even know who they are, and if it weren't for Smash Bros, they wouldn't know who they are. Lucas, he's in one game.
Is Lucas confirmed to be an Echo Fighter?
No, he's not. He's a clone character, or a semi-clone.
Got it. I'm surprised on that one, to be honest.
They are really similar, but you got these characters that have never even been released in the West. And it's okay to put them in Smash Brothers because they're Nintendo's.
Yeah.
But when you're talking third-party characters, you need to be a superstar. You need to be the biggest deal that you could possibly be. Pac-Man, Sonic, Snake.
Yeah.
All these guys, Ryu. These guys are gaming royalty. And Ken, not royalty. I like it.
I think Echo Fighters are opening the door.
They haven't yet, so we'll see that.
I think it has the potential to open the door for more obscure third-party stuff. At least that's what I'm hoping. I want to see a huge selection of additional third-party options, but
it's a dangerous road to allow. You can't let anything but the cream come in when it's non-Nintendo properties. I think you have to be you hold it to the most rigid possible standard and be extremely selective. Otherwise, you start to dilute the brand a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't want just random schmoes in this game because they happen to share a likeness with one of the other characters.
Crash Bandicoot's not a schmo, though, right?
Crash Bandicoot, I think, is in. I really do.
He better. I think that's what we're going to see
and
tomorrow.
He's not going to be an Echo Fighter. He's going to be a fighter in his own right. Here's a super long shot Echo Fighter that I was thinking of.
Let's hear it.
I've been playing a lot of WarioWare Gold.
Oh.
And my daughter is a huge Ashley fan. Ashley,
ooh, here we go.
She's been an assist trophy.
Yeah.
And she also has the Mii Fighter costume status. So she's got this little imp that follows her around, this little devil named Red.
I know where you're going with this one.
I'm thinking, what if we had an Ashley and Red Echo Fighter of Rosalina and Luma?
That is a long shot.
Because their moves are similar. They both are magic based. She can kind of do everything that Rosalina does, Ashley does. So you wouldn't have to change their moves at all. You might have to maybe rescale her a little bit, alter the hitbox a little bit. I don't know if that would still make her an Echo Fighter, because we haven't really seen quite to what extent that Echo status works. By and large, Pit and Lucina are the same size as their other characters, and so is Peach and Daisy. Ashley would need to be smaller than Rosalina, because Rosalina's kind of a giant.
Yeah.
But if you just shrunk down the model, kept the balancing, you tweak the balancing accordingly, you don't really need to reanimate anything. I can't think of a single thing Rosalina does that wouldn't look completely appropriate for Ashley to do.
My thought on Echo Fighters is that they have to remain in the same series. That's what I think they're going to do. Where if you're going to have an Echo Fighter of a character, it has to remain like in the same kind of game franchise. But
we don't know
that. We don't know that.
So far, that's true. And I think some of the reason why that's true is because it's natural for characters to have similar physical qualities and similar physics that take place in the same universe. But what we've seen with clone characters before is you could have somebody from F-Zero and somebody from Legend of Zelda, and boom, clone character. They were real similar in the first game that they appeared in, which was Melee. So again, the delineation between what's going to push an Echo into clone status, I don't know. Maybe Ashley would be better suited as a clone of Rosalina, but I really think that would be a great shorthand way of getting a super awesome Ashley in the game.
I can see it.
And I think it's her time. We don't have any other representatives of WarioWare in it. I would love. Oh, see, now we're getting into new.
Here we go. What do you got?
I'm trying to naturally.
Wait, is it a new fighter?
It's a new fighter.
Let's wait for the new fighters until the end of this.
All right, it's WarioWare.
Oh God, because I have a couple ideas for new fighters too, but I think you.
Do you have any other Echo fighters?
I've exhausted my entire list of Echo Fighters and watched Nintendo surprise me.
Yeah,
I think they are.
Well, that's part of it. I watched this. I read this translation of an interview that Sakurai did with Famitsu, where he was talking about his approach to the E3 presentation and how he wants to reveal the information. And the man is a true artist in the most cinematic sense. He understands pacing and structure and how to reveal information. I think he's been kind of hit from the side a little bit with some of these leaks that have been happening. So Nintendo's taking every possible precaution to prevent that from happening, because it has unfortunately negatively impacted the impact of some of these past trailers that we had with the previous game.
No leaks yet, though.
No leaks yet. I try to avoid it because it really does ruin it for me.
It's hard though when I run a Nintendo site.
For you, yeah, it's harder for you.
Happily Candy's here.
Hello.
So just a heads up.
The show just peaked.
Just a heads up.
It's all me. Yeah.
You might notice me drinking a lot tonight. I lost my voice this morning. So like every 5 seconds I have to take a sip of something or else I'm just going to go completely out. So we have this like timed schedule where she's bringing me hot tea so I can do this live stream, which is amazing because she's the best fiance of all time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything you'd like to say to the happy people?
No, it's been fun following you guys in chat. I'm having fun talking with you. I've been talking for a little bit, but you guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys later.
Real quick.
Yes.
Real quick before you go.
Yes.
If you could have one character in Smash Brothers Ultimate that hasn't been announced yet,
Okay.
who would it be?
Ooh.
Well, you know, I got this idea from people who were talking in chat, and I never even thought about before. I would love to see Isabelle. I would love to see Isabelle.
Isabelle makes sense, too.
It makes sense because we have a lot of characters from a lot of other franchises. We only have pretty much the villagers, I think, as fighters. So it makes sense to bring over another huge character.
Could you imagine Isabelle kicking butt?
Oh yeah,
That's
I predicted
why.
Isabelle for Smash 5 a couple years ago in one of the Me Times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like an Isabelle KK Slider Echo Fighter.
Yeah.
I could dig that.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
I'm surprised you didn't say Gino.
I was going to say Gino, but Gino is something that I always say, so I thought I'd come out and say something a little bit different this time. And I also think that Isabelle's a little bit more likely, too, especially with New Leaf, still around.
Isabelle could be an Echo Fighter for Villager.
Yeah.
I think so. Those characters
I could
move
totally see that.
pretty similar.
So if you could pick Isabelle or
Gino?
Gino, who would it be?
I would pick Gino just because I think that would be a lot harder to do for Nintendo, considering he is not as well known.
Yeah.
But Isabelle, I would be just as satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we missed the obvious though with Echo Fighters. There's going to be
Who's that?
at least 7 Fire Emblem Echo Fighters because Sakurai loves Fire Emblem and he cannot resist busting the seams with as many Fire Emblem characters as he possibly can fit in there. So we're going to get a Chrom about time for sure. We have not, and I could be wrong on this, but I've been watching pretty close. I don't think we've seen Chrom in Robin's Final Smash yet.
Ooh.
And so if Chrom has been removed from Robin, I might be wrong, but if Chrom's been removed, then we're going to have another Echo Fighter. He could easily be an Echo Fighter of Ike. They have some very similar moves.
We don't need any more Fire Emblem.
We don't even need all the
count.
Fire Emblem we have.
Let's count my Fire
There's
Emblem
8.
amiibos.
There's 8.
Oh.
Is there 8 in how many in Smash?
Good job.
8.
There's 8 in Smash?
If you count Robin as 2.
And then I have the 2 other ones that I had from the Fire Emblem Echoes game. And then the 2 other
Tiki
ones that came out
Tiki
from
and,
Fire Emblem Warriors.
Almonds. And,
It was Tiki and Chrom, and then it was Alm and Celica.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have way too many.
There's
I don't
way
need
too
any more.
many. But I also think there's a good chance we might get Rex for Shulk.
Yeah, I could see that too.
That would be... I mean, they might be cloned again, or it could be completely unique character status, but that might be... We know Sakurai loves Xenoblade Chronicles 2. He's been very public about his praise for that game. I think if faced with the proposition of not having Rex in the game at all, or making Rex a clone of Shulk, he's in. I really think that's going to happen.
What about Princess Hilda?
Skin. I'd like to see her as a palette swap.
Why would Daisy get an Echo Fighter and Hilda not?
Because Hilda's in one game,
So what?
and she ain't that
So
big
what?
of a deal.
Oh, you're done. You're done. Being a Zelda fan, this shocks me. Hilda is so amazing.
I agree.
She was willing to sacrifice an entire world to save her people.
She's
I loved her to
she
death.
is savagely brutal. I love her too. But I don't think that we really need her to be in the game any more than Dark Link having his own swap. Like, the whole thing with Dark Link is that he's Link's shadow.
I get it.
He moves exactly like Link. So, for Dark Link, he is one of Link's palette swaps. But Dark Pit is a completely different character. So, them having different spots makes sense to me, whereas Link is the same one. Even though Hilda is a different character than Zelda, we imagine that their properties would be identical. There's really not anything to... In fact, that's kind of the whole point. You have Hyrule and Lorule, the reflections of each other. So just changing the palette, I think, makes the most sense in that particular case.
All right, I think we've exhausted Echo Fighters. Before we move on to new fighters, because that's going to be the big thing, I think, tonight.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion on who the next big fighter is going to be. Let's talk about Amiibo.
Yeah.
Amiibo was the claim to fame for Nintendo Wire. We started off as Amiibo News. Everything Amiibo is everything that I love. I cannot wait to collect all of these new Amiibo coming out. We already know there's a handful of brand new ones coming out too, but I think we still have a ways to go about what Amiibo are going to do in this game. I think there's going to be Amiibo-specific modes they haven't announced yet, and I think there might even be something even bigger. We've discussed this before on an episode of Smash Switch Speculation, and that is the possibility of Amiibo cards in the game.
Yeah.
I still think that there could be like more of a board game-esque like Amiibo type mode in this game, where you could have like more of a strategic chess-like Amiibo game with a whole heap of Amiibo. I have no idea what that would look like specifically. I know we speculated a bit on it before. We kind of said a little bit like chess. But having like supplemental cards that you could tap on that had like trophies or that had items could be something really interesting for Amiibo. I know you think it's a long shot, but I'm curious to see what you think about Amiibo in Ultimate.
The thing that really made Amiibo have mass appeal at the beginning is that it is a figure. And that's been market tested. The cards did not do near as well as the figures did.
But they weren't Smash. No one gives a crap about Animal Crossing Amiibo cards.
Or the Mario Sports cards. But they also had, what was the other one? Was it just 2 card sets? Sports and...
We had, the sports cards, and we had 6 total series for Animal Crossing.
And then the one-shot Mewtwo card.
Yeah.
So the cards did not really have the same kind of appeal. Like, you could argue that it's because the franchise is not as popular as Smash, but I would tend to think that Smash Brothers cards would have sold, but I don't think that they would have had the same kind of legendary status that Amiibo did. I don't think you got people banging down doors.
I agree. That's why I think it needs to be supplemental. If it would be something like, imagine like Pokemon cards, buying a booster pack, hoping that you get something that you could use in a game. Imagine if you could like pull an ultra rare card. But I know Amiibo like piracy's incredibly rampant too.
Right. See, that's a consideration too, is if you can have things that are going to dramatically affect the gameplay, then, or even strongly influence the gameplay, and it's difficult to obtain. Nintendo puts any barrier that Nintendo puts between acquiring an Amiibo and the user base is an invitation to piracy. And I really think Nintendo needs to fight hard against that by just making the supply readily available. And it's a difficult balance because you don't want to put products out on the market that don't get purchased. But if it's available and someone can go and buy the figure of this Amiibo, I think that they're going to buy it because they want the collectible, they want the piece, they want to support Nintendo. They don't want to break the law, and they also want to have this super awesome figure on their shelf to enhance their gameplay.
I mean, I could technically just scan in a Pokemon card and have a picture of the Pokemon card, but I want the real thing. So if they do cards, I still think the collector's market's going to be relatively high for them.
The thing that that would make me think they're going to shy away from this, we know figures are a thing. They've already confirmed that every single veteran fighter is going to have an Amiibo, and if reports are to be believed, some of the translations from the Japanese site confirm that the veteran fighters will have their Amiibo ready to release by launch, on launch day. So on the day that it comes out, every character that doesn't currently have an Amiibo will have one available in the marketplace.
In Japan, at least. Because they're already up for sale in Japan on my Nintendo
That's
shop.
true. I imagine it will probably be a similar case here, even though we haven't seen perfect parity between Japan and North American releases.
It would have to be online. I think Nintendo would have to come up with some sort of like marketplace. Every toy store, I mean, Toys R Us is gone,
Toys R Us
which
is
is
gone.
insane.
That was a big one.
And every toy store that I know of, or any kind of department store, their like Toys to Life section is just gone.
Yeah, I
can't imagine where they'd put these.
Either Nintendo needs to increase their store, which they are already selling stuff online. You could buy some Amiibo right now from Nintendo's online store, but their presence on Amazon would have to get better. Amazon's one of the worst places to buy Amiibo from, sadly. You'd think it would be the most convenient because you just sit in front of the computer, but because of all the marketplace vendors, it's kind of like a gray market, like eBay. So you go to try to buy an Amiibo from there, it costs you $40 or $50, and people don't know any better because it's still under the Amazon banner. So it's hard to buy Amiibo.
It's complicated because Amazon, they sell out usually the quickest when they do go up. They got rid of the 20% discount. Best Buy got rid of the Gamers Club Unlocked, so that's kind of gone unless you're grandfathered into it. GameStop is usually one of the better options, but the biggest issue with them is shipping.
Yeah, you pay half of the price of the Amiibo for shipping from GameStop, which is crazy.
And they generally get an incredibly tiny stock in store. So Amiibo, they're just getting more and more difficult to like get pre-ordered. At least now, I mean, it's nowhere near what it used to be.
Right.
Like, what it used to be was insane.
And we have some insight to what it takes to make them. Like, we know what... Nintendo can't just make more. They're on a release schedule where they have these factories. It takes sometimes 2 months to produce these things. And then, in order to produce more, they change the molds over and put new molds in and make more figures. So it's not like, oh, we need to make more Sonics. Let's just put those Sonic molds back in and run off another batch of 100,000. You have to schedule that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that could disrupt the flow and the release of subsequent waves, which did happen during the release of the first line of Amiibo.
By the way, are you pre-ordered up? Like, do you have everything pre-ordered?
I am pre-ordered up because...
How many wolves do you have?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah, just one. I am eventually going to need two
Yeah.
of everything if I want to continue to produce some of the content like I'm doing now. Because TJ and Dark TJ each need their own if they're going to fight each other. I'm not sure what that content's going to look like now. But if we're getting all these Amiibo on day one, I don't see how Nintendo can compete with themselves by making cards. Because you can't sell the cards for the same price as you can sell the figures. No. So the profit margin on the cards is going to be much higher, I would imagine, because it costs next to nothing to produce the cards. NFC chips are dirt cheap.
Yeah,
Paper
that's why
is dirt cheap.
They have to be supplemental. That's why they have to be. They have to be like, imagine this. Imagine having a special like alt costume that you couldn't get for some like a particular like Mr. L. Could be an Amiibo on.
I think you'd really be making people mad if you do that.
But you've got, if you're Nintendo, you have to make money too.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the way to do it. I think
maybe
with costumes in Smash, you sell it. You just outright sell these bundles of new costumes, like they did with the Wii U. I think that will work. Sell me as many. Who's Granola? I'm reading Gabe Garcia's product. So I think we're going to see Nintendo stick with figures, even though figures are less Switch friendly. Switch. When you're sitting at your desk, sure, scan some 50 Amiibo. But you're not going to be able to put 50, 60 Amiibo in your carrying case or in your pockets.
Try me.
Anyone can do it. Jason can do it.
I have my travel tub of Amiibo.
Oh, this is
these are my dupes. Hang on. 2 seconds.
But you can imagine if they were cards, you can easily stick a deck of cards in your pocket. So you can have your entire arsenal of Amiibo, which I've done with a lot of mine. I've customized them into cards so that it can be a little bit more convenient to carry around. So you don't got to do this.
These are not all of my Amiibo. Most of my Amiibo are on display, nice and neat. So before everybody goes insane and say, Amiibo Jason keeps his things in a tub. Like, no, I have them all over the place, very nicely organized. But here, my travel tub of Amiibo.
You know, oddly, it actually relaxes me to see that a collector as hardcore as Amiibo Jason can play with his toys. He can just stick them in that little bin.
I saw Poochie in there, so I had to take him out. What's up, buddy?
There are a couple Amiibo-related questions that were brought up by Pat2Wick, somebody who follows the content on the channels, commented on one of the recent videos. I think it might have been Smash Ultimate Countdown. But he asks... well, actually, it's really more of a comment. He hopes that they showcase the ability to use Amiibo in online battles with friends, during team battles, and with anyone battles, similar to how Mario Tennis Ultra did. That's something Jason and I touched on a little bit. Having Amiibo online battles would be super cool. I don't see why you can't just do a toggle switch where you either let Amiibo in or don't. That's what they did with Mii Fighters in tournaments that you made. So maybe you as a human don't want to fight against some 12-year-old kid's Amiibo.
Part of me wonders if they're concerned about like not just piracy, like people are manipulating the chips. Like they had these pieces of software you can get for your cell phone, and that they had something called like the Amiibo Genie or something like that. And it
could
just
change what it can do?
Well, it would just max everything out.
Oh.
Like all of their stats.
Yeah, I could see how that would be.
So there has to be a method behind it. I mean, NFC isn't like the most secure thing on the planet, so I understand that. But we had an Amiibo tournament at one point, all the way back in the day,
I
like
remember
for
that.
Customs for Akira.
That was cool.
People had to mail them in, though. It was such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I would love to do that again, but just online somehow, and somehow validate that these aren't like crazy Amiibo. I would imagine Nintendo would have the ability to like take a look at the code for each character that's going into a match and determine if it's fake or not. I mean, if
I don't know.
If everything is
enough
totally
about it.
maxed out to 11, you'd think Nintendo has a way to like.
But then it would be like punishing players who worked hard and grinded. So I don't know. I don't really know if there's any way to tell the legitimacy of the actual Amiibo and Amiibo that have been copied.
I'm sure in software there's got to be something Nintendo could do, but I guess then they would just figure it out too. So it's a game of cat and mouse when it comes to this stuff.
And how cost effective is it too? Because if Nintendo has to invest a ton of money to create new technology, then it stops being financially profitable. Another thing that Pat Tuick brings up is the ability to use Amiibo in modes other than just regular Smash. Like me, he would love to be able to use them to clear co-op classic mode or all-star mode.
And what, just leave them overnight and have it taken care of?
Well, at least cooperatively work alongside you. So
I mean, that's how I used to level up my Amiibo to 50.
Yeah, well, but you had to do it in Smash mode because you can't do it in co-op mode, unfortunately. And then the last thing that he brings up is something we talked about a little bit. If Nintendo, as many people are speculating, and most people seem to be excited about this, not me, that Nintendo may be going the route of removing custom moves. So if they do remove custom moves, then that's going to be one of the significant deviations from how we were previously able to customize our Amiibo.
Yeah.
Because with the exception of the 6 DLC characters, you can kind of like cherry pick your favorite moves from any of the Amiibo, assign that to that figure, and when that figure fights, it's going to use your favorite out of those moves. So with each one of your specials, you got your up special, neutral special, down special, side special. You have 3 different custom options, provided you unlocked all of them. And you can make this figure that plays pretty much exactly how you want them to play according to the limitations that you have. But now if you remove that custom option, you've put on an enormous limiting factor. What about all of the Amiibo that we have already trained, which Nintendo has confirmed that information carries over?
So yeah, I mean, then custom moves have to carry over too, right? Unless they're going to have you like format the Amiibo.
Yeah, you might have to reassign custom moves if that Amiibo... if the moves that Amiibo does are not in that game.
I think you're safe. I really think you're safe. The fact that you can have all of these Amiibo that have been previously trained with custom moves compatible with it, I don't think Nintendo would say you have to start over.
I'm really curious. Like, right now we have 162 people watching. Do you like custom moves, or do you hope custom moves are gone? So many other outlets are being like, yeah, custom moves are probably not a thing anymore, and I don't care. I hate them. Good riddance.
I don't think I don't hate them. I just don't care.
Yeah, it baffles
I've never had a
me.
use for them.
I understand the I don't care perspective because if you don't use them, you don't use them. But for people who are like glad to see them go, I'm curious where that comes from. Unless you're just really sour because of how unbelievably frustrating it is to unlock them all. I'm with you on that. They need to definitely streamline that process. That was complete garbage.
My guess is that most people don't care. But I could be wrong. I would imagine that most people are indifferent to the fact because they just haven't used them. But again, that's just kind of my personal opinion on it. But
yeah, look, we're totally like we're getting love them, keep them, hate them, indifferent. It is across the board. Like it's shocking to me that
get rid of them. They're pointless. I love it.
Actually,
thanks, Smack.
This is a really exciting thing to me that Smash Brothers can hit people in so many different ways. It's a game about like fighting people. I am super energized and excited about the custom moves.
Yeah.
It influences dramatically the way that I engage with the content. And then there are a bunch of you out there who hate them to the point where you don't want them to be in the game, which then tells me that if you're a Smash fan, there are other things about that game that grab you. And that this game can reach so many people on so many different levels from so many different angles. It's just a testament to what an incredible sample of gaming that it is.
Oh, by the way, just a heads up, we are exactly 12 hours away from the 12 hours, baby.
It's happening.
So, before we move on to the anything else, because I want to touch on one more thing with Amiibo, let's talk about the Direct tomorrow. We're going to get a look at least one new Amiibo, for sure. Who's it going to be?
Well,
I think it's going to be Snake. At least that's my hope. I want to see a Snake.
I think it's going to be Daisy.
Yeah,
because Daisy was already confirmed to have been either in a late stage of development or finished.
I have a surprise for you, by the way.
What?
Nintendo actually sent me the Daisy Amiibo early. Here it is!
You turd.
This is why I don't care. I don't care about the Daisy Amiibo. I have one.
Yeah, that's another really interesting point is that some of the new characters in Smash, we already have amiibos for, like Daisy and the Inklings. So I'm curious to see how those are going to be. I imagine they're just going to play exactly. And Young Link, too. So we have the Majora's Mask Link, which is Young Link. I imagine we put that in. He's going to scan as Young Link.
Yeah.
So that's super awesome that you might already have these new amiibo in your collection in some capacity. But characters like Wolf and Snake, you don't. I think if we are going to see new ones, it's most likely to be Wolf and Daisy, because even though we have seen Wolf before, he hasn't appeared in a Direct. He wasn't in the E3 reveal.
So we already know what he looks like.
We know what he looks like, so
that.
It's not a big deal. Daisy, we know is coming, but we haven't seen, so we'll probably see her. And if we see another one, I imagine it will be one of the other veteran fighters that don't have one.
I want to see Snake. I'm really interested to see what Pokemon Trainer is going to be like.
Pokemon Trainer is the one I'm most curious for two reasons. One, we already have Charizard, so I'm imagining that Charizard is going to just be interpreted as the Pokemon Trainer, the one that we already have from Smash for Wii U. And then the other thing is the Pokemon Trainer just going to be standing on his trophy base, or is he going to have his Pokemon
I want him to be surrounded by him.
I do too.
Really do. I want to see something unique, something bigger.
It would be amazing. I don't think he's going to be.
Pieces like Mr. Game & Watch, and we discussed that.
Yeah, that could happen too.
Last one too.
I think he'd be pricier. He'd have to be like a 3-pack or a 4-pack.
I don't care.
I'd be okay with it. I'd pay more to have him be extra cool.
I want to see a female variation of that too. I think again with Player 2 now, we might even see like male Wii Fit trainer, male or female.
That's actually you're getting at what I'm more curious about is we know that some of the Wii U, I guess for lack of a better word, line of amiibo have already been reissued. Some of them, their changes are as minimal as a pose, but some of them they have alternate skins that they range from just a completely different look to a completely different character.
Yeah.
Like Elf, male Wii Fit trainer, female Robin, all of the Koopalings, all of the villagers have different looks, all of the Inklings have different looks. Are we going to have previous characters reissued? Link is now in the Champion's Tunic. So when they reissue Link for this game, which of course they're going to do, he's the #1 top-selling Smash amiibo in America.
Yeah.
They're going to reissue him. Are we going to get the one where he's got the yellow P stand, or are they going to give us a champion's pose? I think we might not see a new Mario, because Mario with the fireball is still very strongly represented. But Cappy's a trophy. He's not on his look generally.
He's on there.
He's
in the game.
But Nintendo always bases amiibo on the key art, and Cappy's not in the key art. Mario's doing like a jump kick now.
Don't care, Cappy Eyes.
You can customize Cappy Eyes on yours. Use your McDonald's toy and put those on there.
While we're on this subject too, I just want to point out just one thing that I've been kind of stewing over for a bit. I'm really disappointed with the Inkling Girl amiibo.
Because it's so similar to the other one.
It's like identical to the other one.
I agree. They needed and I feel the same way about Bowser. We got this sweet Bowser pose for the Smash Brothers line, and then the Mario Party line comes out, and
it's like the same thing.
It's the same pose.
A little bit more cartoony.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah, I really wish that when they're releasing the same character and they want you to double down and buy them from different lines, that they would be a little bit more conscientious about giving them different looking poses. And the Inkling Girl she looks great, but she also looks exactly like the Inkling Girl we already have. So
it just bugs me to some extent.
Yeah,
it really does.
I'm with you on that.
But that's Amiibo. If we have anything else on Amiibo at the end of this, we'll definitely cover it. But before we go tonight, I know we want to talk about new fighters, and that's going to be something that I think most people are going to be the most interested in about. And are we going to get, number one, are we going to get any new fighter teased?
We're going to see a new fighter. One new fighter tomorrow. I would be so shocked if Nintendo was not fully aware of the fact that what people are most interested in is new fighters. And so they've structured their directs for years now, going back to the Wii U one, going back to the Wii one, in such a way as to really build up to these character releases. I don't really know that they want to handle the backlash of there not being a character announcement. So I think there's going to be one. And I don't know who it's going to be.
I think Rex is a decent option.
Rex is a strong possibility, I think.
I think Banjo-Kazooie's out. personally.
I love how friendly Microsoft and Nintendo have been getting. I do think that would be a really, really big surprise if it was Banjo. I don't think we're going to see him.
But hey,
yeah, keep holding out for that one.
I think Crash Bandicoot's only a matter of time. I don't know when, but it makes sense to have the big three.
He could be tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think he would be a really strong announcement for tomorrow. I think we could get a Ubisoft character, maybe Rayman. I know that there's been rumors and speculation about him for a long time. But Ubisoft and Nintendo are really chummy, and they've been a really good partner for Nintendo. They've got a really successful game with Nintendo. And
Rayman's iconic. I'd say he's iconic
I would too. And they need some sort of representative because they're one of the last big Nintendo partners that doesn't have third-party representation.
Just not a Rabid. Anything but a Rabid.
I'm with you, man. Anything but I love those little rabbits, but they are a total assist trophy or stage. I would love there to be like a Mario versus Rabbids stage where the little rabbits are all running around. It would be awesome. It would be charming, and it would be a small enough dose where you wouldn't have to deal with them all the time.
But do you know who's not getting announced tomorrow? 100% not getting announced.
Waluigi?
Waluigi. Yeah. Let me tell you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our title card again real quick here. There's a reason why we picked this title card. Do you see Waluigi falling off the hype train?
Yeah,
just
he is.
falling,
He is falling
hurling
off.
back towards Earth, about to burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah. So
that is our hopes and dreams for Waluigi.
So here's my word of encouragement to all you Nintendo fans out there. He will come. It's just a matter of time. But
not tomorrow.
He ain't coming tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. I think here now. Can I move into my WarioWare prediction territory?
Let's hear it.
All right. This is not a prediction. This is a wild hope that will not happen. I want a WarioWare representative in the style of Ice Climbers that is Kat and Anna, the two little sisters that fight like ninjas, and they're obsessed about becoming ninjas. So fighting's already kind of in their character nature.
They're assist trophies, aren't they?
I think they have been, yeah. I think they have been. I don't know that we've seen them for this one. I got another character prediction. This one I do think is happening.
Let's hear it.
If not tomorrow.
If not tomorrow.
Before Smash Ultimate is done, sometime during the run of this game, it's finally time for Takamaru from the Mysterious Castle, and the ninja game in Wii U. He had an assist trophy in the last game.
Yeah.
He's a samurai. There are lots of sword fighters in Smash. There are no samurai. So that style of sword fighting has not been represented yet. And if you look at the production notes of every single Smash Brothers game, Sakurai has always toyed with the idea of putting this character in. I think it's finally his time.
Yeah.
It's finally time for this character to...
I disagree, but I had no idea who you're talking about.
You know...
I would imagine out of the people that are watching this right now, maybe 5% know who you're talking about.
Have you played Nintendo Land?
Yes, I have.
You know the game you throw the ninja stars?
If that's the only way that you can convince me that I know him, that's not a good enough reason.
He's only got 2 games. The original game came out for the regular NES and it was built on the same engine as the original Legend of Zelda. So imagine Legend of Zelda where your main weapon is a projectile shuriken, and if people get close, you can hit them with your sword, and the difficulty is about 100 times more difficult than the original Legend of Zelda. So it's a super hard game, and it only released in the States for 3DS maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So it's a very retro game, super retro character who has always been in Sakurai's mind. He has been in Smash before. There's a Mii costume of him in Smash from the last game.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
So I think that he's not popular, but he's a character that for many iterations he's been toyed with. So I think this is finally the time to pull the trigger on him.
I don't know. I would say Simon Belmont has a better chance.
Red Chaos says that he's already an assist trophy on Ultimate. So
there goes that.
Maybe. Well, no, I still think he's going to make it. Maybe not tomorrow, but I still think he's going to make it in. That does, I think, diminish his chances of it happening anytime soon.
I think Simon Belmont's going to happen only just because how many people want him.
I want him bad. I voted for him in the Smash Ballot.
I think Bomberman would have been a great choice too, but he has his own assist trophy now at this point too, so that's kind of out the window right now at the moment.
Now, the only character that Nintendo can announce that would really, really just make me be like, is Simon Belmont. anybody who's listened to me wax poetic about Smash at all on this channel, I take every possible opportunity I can to mention how Simon Belmont is my pick.
Yeah.
He's been for a long time. I grew up playing 3 characters: Link, Little Mac, and Simon Belmont. Those were the first 3 NES games that I had, and I was totally into them, and I cannot even count the hours that I poured into playing those games with those characters.
I totally can see it. I hope you're right. I really do. I think he'd be a good fit.
I want him bad. He's got the whip, so his playstyle is unlike anybody else's. We're going to get something super cool, super unique. I think it would be amazing if they could apply some kind of lock-on feature like he has in the Super Nintendo game, where when you hold the whip button, you can whip it in all different directions, where maybe you can kind of lock his body into place so you can use the analog stick to just do omnidirectional whipping. That would be super awesome.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. I would be over the moon. Konami does already have Snake as a representative, but Capcom has 2 reps, and I think Simon is a much, much better fit than Snake is anyway, because they kind of had to figure out how to implement Snake, because his moves were kind of deemed by Nintendo to be a little bit too violent, too brutal. And I think they did a great job of finding some way to make this very realistic war type character fit with a bunch of cartoons.
Yeah.
But Simon Belmont is a very serious gothic vampire slayer who totally naturally fits amongst the cartoons.
I agree.
It would be amazing.
We have, again, very little time to wait. This direct is taking place in just under 12 hours from now. So if you little kids go to bed right now, or wake up in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, you're going to be able to see this. We have live coverage at NintendoWire.com all day tomorrow on this, pretty much this entire event. We're going to be covering it all night. We have a special video presentation coming after that as well. So stay tuned to Nintendo Wire there. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we close this one out
you know what else I think we're going to see a lot of information about? I think we're going to get a pretty detailed breakdown of how the Mii Fighters are going to work this time. Because that was one of the things that they were the most kind of vague about with the E3. So we know they're there, they're back, they have alterations, but they just gave us like one sentence. You now have 12 voice options. Their proportions have been changed. Their moves have been enhanced and streamlined. What does any of that mean? So I think that they're going to explain what those things mean.
What do you think it's going to be, like a half hour? 30 minutes? Hour?
I would say on the shortest side, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And on the longest side, 45 minutes.
Yep. All right, guys. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Stay tuned. We have coverage planned all day tomorrow. TJ, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
About this. Where can everybody here find you?
The easiest way to find me is to subscribe to the Nintendo Wire channel.
I've
got content coming out, I think 4 days a week now. Me v Me coming out on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then Friday morning, right after Nintendo finishes their blog posts for the week with all their latest Smash updates, you get a little bit of a video breakdown from me unpacking all of that Smash Brothers Ultimate news. It might be a little bit meatier this time around because we've got that direct tomorrow. So I hope you'll join me on Friday morning for the Smash Ultimate Countdown.
Awesome. And if you want to find me, you can find me at NintendoWire.com, right here on the YouTube channel for Nintendo Wire. My personal Twitter account is @AmiiboJason. I'm hunting for a complete N64 collection right now, so that's mostly what you're going to see on there. Otherwise, you can find me at NinWire on Twitter for Nintendo Wire and at Amiibo News. That was our very first one, and we still do a lot of stuff there. I'm sure we're going to be covering stuff on that one tomorrow as well. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you guys hopefully with another episode in the next couple weeks, maybe?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cross your fingers. All right, guys, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.